Lee Harvey Oswald could be considered the man of many people. He had relations with just about every major group that you could be involved with. The Mafia, Fidel Castro, Cuban exiles that were angrily left in the dust by U.S. negligence for trying to help them even overthrow their leader, along with even the U.S.'s FBI, though none technically cared for him as a person anyway. However, though, over time, the Soviet Union and Oswald began to indirectly share a very common interest. But let's start back at the beginning to find out how all of that exactly played out. Therefore, Lee's childhood and background has to be an important part of the discovery at hand. What is known about his distorted life as a kid was that his father had died about 2 months before he was even born, and had to rely on his brothers primarily because his mother never took care of him. So, when he then decided to drop out of high school, he obviously had no family that was going to support him. Thus needing something to do, he joined the Marines and was sent to Japan as a U-2 spy plane operator. There, who knows what he may have had access to. Top secret US info, new mission secrets, as well as the chance of there being a heck of a lot of text about Kennedy's potential whereabouts. So this is where it began to get a bit shady. When he was there, he began to oddly speak about how much he hated the USA and would not let any Americans get in his way. Well, whatever that means in his opinion. He also spoke emphatically about how great communism was, all conveyed in a letter to his brother. And then it got even weirder. Once he had moved to Russia, he married a KGB colonel's daughter, who he had even apparently abused many times. But what else could have possibly happened in the Soviet Union before returning to the United States shortly afterwards? Well, regardless of whatever had maybe, possibly, could have been happened, he purchased guns which he received through the mail, oddly under an alias, most likely trying to hide his identity. The most coincidental part of all, though, was that Oswald had just so happened to have moved back to the U.S. in the town that Kennedy was assassinated in. Following this, though, Oswald's first assassination attempt took place, but not for Kennedy. Lee had tried to kill Edwin Walker, a U.S. general, as he considered him to be a so-called bad man. But Oswald probably had a different reason for attempting this. Mr. Walker was apparently a very right-winged man, believing in the exact opposite views of a communist. Therefore, this gave Oswald a more personal motive, if you will, on his own behalf to kill him. This also then proved to others that Lee was a man that was willing to commit a crime if it supported his beliefs, no matter what his punishment may be. Then, to additionally prove to be an advocate of communism, he traveled to New Orleans to support the Fair Play for Cuba Committee. Honestly though, was he just a bit out of his mind to do this? This could not better prove how much of a supporter he was willing to be for Cuba, the Soviet Union, and all of its communist allies. Of course, he could end up being pinpointed so easily as to working with a communist group to kill Kennedy. Following that crazy action by Oswald, he traveled to Mexico City in hopes of reaching Soviet and Cuban officials. Of course, though, Oswald was not going there to visit, although it might have been for a pleasurable journey in his case, as it was suspected that that was where the conspiracy plot was finalized between the communists. The US caught him on November 22nd, 1963, but was there also possibly a deeper meaning to Oswald's madness? Remember, go back to his life from earlier on, being the forgotten one. The Soviet Union played him like a puppet, for crying out loud. The Soviets got him to be their suicide. And just to reiterate a bit, for example, the 9/11 attack took place by Al-Qaeda terrorists who believed that they were performing a good deed for their country by trying to kill Americans. Well, think of that, but put Oswald in their shoes, and he felt the exact same way. So, it seems like undoubtedly the Soviet Union helped in forming the conspiracy in one way or another. Whether that be tricking him into becoming a communist through making him feel appreciated, or maybe at the same time also helping him form a plot for Oswald to follow.